Throughout the semester in educational psychology, I learned several things that I hope to carry with me as I work to become a fully licensed teacher, as well as into my career as an educator, such as attributes of effective teachers, how children develop cognitively, socially, and emotionally, the role of reinforcement in the classroom, and metacognitive skills. Effective teachers have the knowledge they want to teach, but they also know how to communicate the information well. This is utilizing what is known as pedagogy. Teachers also have good decision-making skills, use reflection, and apply educational research in their classrooms. It's important to remember these things for my future as I work to become an educator. Let's say, for example, that I'm really knowledgeable about math, but I lack the skills to be able to teach my students the math skills that they need to be successful. If I do not know how to motivate my students and incorporate the proper teaching methods, then all my content knowledge is useless. Warmth, enthusiasm, and caring for others is just as useful as content knowledge, however. As stated in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, people must feel safe and secure before they are able to do anything else. I need to create a safe and welcoming environment for my students so they are able to learn effectively. Overall, these things are important to me because I've had ineffective teachers in the past who have made learning uninteresting and boring. I want to be an effective teacher for my students. In order to be an effective teacher, it's important to take into account students' ages and stages of development. Most people believe that nature and nurture, otherwise known as heredity and environment, combine to play and have an influence on development. While nothing can be done about a student's genetics, much can be done about their environment. For instance, teachers can build skills and motivation to learn and increase their students' self-confidence. This is important because it shows how much impact a teacher can have on a student's life. A student may start the year unmotivated, but by the end of the year, the teacher can completely turn around the student's attitude and abilities by increasing their academic performance. This is important to me because it shows that I'm willing to put in the work to help my students, especially because I feel as though I did not get that support in the past. For example, when I took calculus in high school, the teacher assumed that I had the skills and motivation I needed to be successful in the class. However, since I was taking this class willingly and I already had all the credits I needed for math, I did not have any motivation to work hard. In this case, the teacher could have changed up the way he was teaching, which would have made this class more interesting. I found motivation when I am participating in hands-on learning, which then helps build skill in that content area. This is something that I will remember throughout the rest of my time at Morningside as I work to become an educator. Another thing that I need to remember as an educator is that students are rapidly changing and developing. During the elementary school year specifically, students are at the I can do it myself age. As children age, they are able to concentrate better on given tasks, work independently, cooperate with others, and behave in socially acceptable ways. Elementary students are able to develop socially and emotionally when they have opportunities to take initiative, are challenged, and when they feel supported and included. During this stage, the peer group takes on a growing importance in the student's life. Friendships are important to the children for many reasons, one being that it helps children develop socially and have the skill to resolve conflicts. These things are important for me to remember as I work to become a teacher, specifically an elementary education teacher, because I can apply these things in my classroom. For instance, rather than allowing the class to pick partners and leaving the possibility for someone to feel excluded, I will assign the class groups to 2 to 3 to ensure everyone feels valued and accepted. Promoting behaviors with praise, such as candy, rather than punishment is what is known as positive reinforcement. Studies show that behavior changes based on its immediate consequences. Pleasurable consequences, otherwise known as reinforcers, strengthen a behavior. I think this is important because I can use these strategies to strengthen my students' behavior in the classroom. Instead of taking away from the student, I can give them a chance to earn something. For example, I can provide my students an opportunity to play a fun review game, only if they finish their group assignment from the day before. This creates motivation and encourages them to work together. This is a form of a secondary reinforcer because it's an activity. Social reinforcers, such as praise, smiles, and hugs, is another strategy that can be used to promote pro-social behaviors. For instance, when a student answers a question correctly in class, I can give them a praise for participating. This will encourage them and others to participate in class in the future. These things are important for me to remember as I work to become an educator because studies show that reinforcers strengthen a behavior. When using reinforcers in the classroom, students are motivated and feel encouraged to behave well. Using reinforcement in the classroom rather than punishment is something I want to do in my classroom because it can be used in many different ways. For example, like I said before, when a student participates in class, they can receive candy. Another thing that is important for me is providing my students with study strategies that will help them be successful. If my students are given strategies that will help them learn effectively and efficiently, it will allow them more time for meaningful learning, like problem solving or creating creative activities. In elementary school, students will often be asked to remember vocab words for spelling tests. Verbal learning is one way to prepare them. Some students may develop these skills on their own, but it's important to teach these strategies to make sure all students have them. For instance, research found that students comprehend better if they're taught to ask themselves questions while they read. Every so often, I can pause my class while they're reading and ask them to write down the answers to the questions. Throughout this process, they have now read the material, retrieved the information, thought about it, and they've written the information down. Not only does this improve their comprehension, but it's also a study strategy that they can use on their own independently without the help of the teacher. These things are important because the strategies can help them improve their achievement. Throughout my time in school, I did not have teachers that taught study strategies. I feel as though I had to figure out different strategies on my own as well as what worked best for me. After realizing how well some of these strategies work, I know how important it is to use these in my own learning, as well as teach them to my students in the future. Throughout the rest of my time at Morningside College and into my career as an educator, I hope to carry these things with me. I've learned so much throughout this semester in educational psychology that will be useful in the years to come during the rest of my time at Morningside and into my future career as an educator.